Okay, it's loading. One moment. Okay, so I am so excited today. Just a moment, sorry. So excited today because I have Miss Tammy Melchizedek with us. She has an incredible story. And so she was on a television show for 10 years, which was an Emmy Award-winning show. She's written over 8 best-selling books, and she's been published by national houses. She was on a platform with John Maxwell and worked in women's ministry for 20 years. She has 4 adult children. Her son is Korean born. Her daughter was born in Russia, and she has 7 grandsons, 4 through birth, natural birth, and the other 3 through foster care. And I just want to say that I have known Tammy for, wow, it's been a little over a year, but every time I'm with her, if it's on a Zoom or in person, I am just learning so much. I'm taking notes. I am just so she's just amazing. Her gift for hospitality is absolutely incredible. Every time I go to her home, she teaches me something like, okay, this is how you make it simple, but elegant. And I have just learned so much for her. So I'm so grateful for your time, Miss Tammy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Amy. I know we have to address the technical issues always at the beginning of these Zooms. And
Yes, yes.
hopefully we've got it on this time. So I believe we do. So just want to welcome everybody. We're so glad you jumped on with us today.
Absolutely. Okay, and this is also being recorded too if we need it. So, anyway, Tammy, you have an incredible story. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get into TV and just being in the limelight?
Well, it's kind of a joke, Amy. I'm the youngest of five. I'm Scandinavian. I grew up in conservative Minnesota
Wow.
and grew up Baptist girl. And I remember, when you're a child, you always want to say what you want to be when you grow up, what you want to do. And I always wanted to be a movie star or a missionary.
Wow.
And my mother would tell me that all the time. And she said, I guess you grew up to do both those things. So I did indeed go into media. I was in television for 10 years. I did a really amazing show called Aspiring Women, and it was quite incredible. I had the opportunity of interviewing just amazing people. That was sort of my journey of when I also started. See there, look, where is it? There's my Emmy.
Oh, show it to us. That's
It's
incredible.
right there. I kind of joke with people about it all the time because I always say, it's such a big deal. My grandsons play with it. So that should tell you the reality of my life. But
Right.
so did really well. It was just amazing because I was surrounded by extremely talented people. And it's always the name of the game when you're around talented, committed people. And the show did great. 10 years, I started writing. That's when I started writing books, traveling, speaking. I worked with John Maxwell for a couple of years. He's a kind of a leadership
Wow.
guru, and I really loved the work I did with John, learned a lot, and just so grateful I had the opportunity to do the things that I did professionally for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I understand that you ended up having some devastating issues happen. Can you tell us briefly about that and what made you decide to go into this company?
Mhm. It's so easy to talk about the good things.
Yes.
We just want the highlight reel. I think sometimes that's what Facebook is. It's just the highlight reel. We don't share a lot of the real truth about our lives. And I think if you live long enough, you're going to have setbacks in life. They're going to be temporary. Some are serious temporary setbacks, but they're all setbacks that are temporary. And but how to overcome those is really the key. And so after a long-term marriage, and I had 4 teenagers, and I went through a divorce. And that was devastating all by itself. That was such a devastating thing to get to a place where that was my reality. And so I think anyone that's listening to this can understand when your life doesn't look like you thought it would look, when you plan for something different and it doesn't look that way. In fact, I would suggest sometimes it doesn't look that way at all. You know, it's really a place in your life where you have to make a pivot. You have to make a decision. Am I going to survive this? Am I going to learn from this? Am I going to come out of this a whole person? Am I going to be able to recreate my life? Well, going from my former husband, who at one time made good income, so I did not work outside the home. I realized that wasn't going to be my reality. And so I had to create income and not just grocery money. I needed to create a real income. And it's kind of a long, involved story, but it's really a beautiful thing. I ended up remarrying an amazing man. His name is Jerry Melchisedeck Sr.
Love him.
Yeah, everybody loves Jer Bear. We call him Jer Bear. He's a big guy, so Jer Bear seems to fit him right. But he taught at the Air Force Academy. He was in the Air Force, retired. He and his wife started a real estate company here in Colorado Springs, and that's how I originally met him. 25 years ago, I bought my family home from him. So
Wow.
his journey was also a journey of loss. He lost his hearing in his military service, and he was
Wow.
working at the Pentagon. Yeah, just a lot of things that he went through in the military. And now he uses a cochlear, so he does hear, but that was a setback. And
Right.
he lost his wife. His wife passed away with a massive heart attack in her late
Heartbreaking.
50s, 58 years old. And you know, I'm 64, and when I think about 58 and how young that is, the children lost their mother, and the grandchildren lost their grandmother so young. And so Jerry had to really walk through loss. But when we found each other, we thought we had found the perfect thing. Well, we did in many ways. But we ended up getting married, and this summer we will have been married 17 years, and very blessed 17 years with Jerry.
It's
However, in
wonderful.
2008, after walking through his losses and my losses, we were entering into the absolute hurricane of our lives. And it was all of our investments were in land. Well, if you know, think back to 2008, that everything crashed. The real estate market crashed. I had just come out of a crash, and we sold our beautiful home. We sold our car. We went down to one car. It was really difficult trying to get my kids through college. Just so many different things that were so challenging. And at that point, I remember we moved out of our home into a teeny rental house that we thought we'd be in for a very short time. We were there 3.5 years. And during that time, Amy, I call it the desert experience of my life. It was during that season that God really got my attention, and He said, it's time for a pivot. And I use that word a lot when I teach and train, because I think we all have to make a decision to make a pivot, whether it's a pivot towards your health, making a decision for a healthier lifestyle, whether it's a pivot in your marriage, making your marriage a priority, whether it's a pivot in your career. But it all takes risk, and it all you have to do all of it afraid. And you don't get a ticket saying you get to have success without taking a risk. And so we went on a journey of prayer and asking God, where are we going to recreate all of our income? And it got so bad at the very end. We had a large bill from one of our companies that ended up for closing. We had to close it. And I remember saying to my husband, the only thing I have of worth anymore, because I had sold almost everything, I said, was my wedding ring. And he gave me a beautiful ring when we got
No.
married. And we both drove to the jeweler that we bought it from, and we sold the ring. And
Wow.
I remember we went back in the car and we just sat there. And my husband started just crying. He said, I feel like I have failed you. I feel like,
Oh.
um, I feel like we have And I said, I feel like I failed myself. I feel like I failed my kids, you know?
Right.
And so what we found was that God was about to bring a miracle in our lives, but we had to have the willingness to say yes and to do something we had never done before. I didn't know anything about this industry. Zero, 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 zero. I was as green as this shirt. And but one day somebody invited me to a an opportunity to hear about what we do. And I remember it was one of our original products that is still to this day my favorite product, which is Limu 5X. That is a seaweed product. That's it. And see, yours is almost gone because you love
So
it,
seaweed.
right? Um, yeah. And so I came home from that event and I said to my husband, um, I wonder if people are going to think we're crazy for selling seaweed. We're in Colorado. There's a lot of weed in Colorado. Let me tell
Be
you.
careful.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, it's pretty amazing. And turn my phone off here. So, apologize. And so, anyway, we started this journey of finding out about this business, what this business was about. We started running with our hearts. You know, I calculated the first month, my goal was to buy 4 tires for my car because I didn't have money to buy tires. And it was $800 and that could have been 8,000. It didn't matter because I didn't have it.
Right.
And my goal was to make $800 that first month. And to my absolute amazement, I did. And I made 800 extra dollars. Now, that may not seem like a
Hello.
lot to
Hey,
some people. It might seem like a
I'm a
fortune to
kid.
other
I was
people.
vacuuming. Sorry.
Yeah,
You're fine.
that's all right. Can you delete or can you mute there? Do you know how to mute, Amy? There you
Um,
go. She's got it. And so what I did was I looked at my husband. I said, "Do you think we can do this again next month?" And pretty soon, within 4.5 months, I actually was making enough for our rent payment and a car payment in
wow.
4.5 months. Well, what all I could think about is if I could teach someone to do that, if I could teach another woman to make her house payment, that she could do something in her pockets of her life, even if she has a full-time job, if she's at home full-time with kids, homeschooling, didn't matter. I think I have my hands on something. And
Yes.
so within the amount of time, I was making about $2,500 my fifth month in the business. And at that point, I knew at the very beginning, I'll just say this, Amy, God said, when I said, should I do this? I don't know what I'm doing. And all I can tell you is that I knew the answer from God was yes. I just knew it.
Wow.
I knew it was yes. I was afraid to do it. I did it afraid. I did it sloppy. You know, you have to be bad before you're good and good before you're great. And I was bad.
I can't
But,
imagine that.
but we learned, you know, we've learned so much in these 12 years. And so within a year of working this business, I was making 6 figures.
Wow.
And within 8 weeks after that, my company, my business almost doubled to making almost twice that. And
Wow.
in 23 months, actually 22 months, we hit one of the highest pin ranks in our company. We were bringing in $500,000 of product a month. And our team was the biggest in our entire organization. And we just really understood that we had our hands on something very, very special. And it
Wow.
changed people's lives. We saw people get healthy. We saw people getting their life back. We saw people being able to pay bills. We saw single moms getting out of a dangerous situation into a safe situation. You just name it. You just name it. That's
Right.
what we saw. And today we still see it, Amy. And so
Oh,
now, 12 years, I just started my 12th year in this company with Partner Co, which came about 2 years ago when Limu, because a Partner Co is a house of brands, it's got many brands under it, And we're one of Limu was one of the houses. And so we were purchased as well as other fabulous brands like Noni and, there's several. We have many, many houses underneath of us. But what we found in the last 2 years is under this exceptional leadership of our company, John Wadsworth, who was a brand partner just like me, but I got to know him when I opened Southern Africa during COVID. You know, um, I had a friend of mine who was from South Africa, and everyone was at home during COVID, and everybody was on Zoom. And I'm like, let's just open a country.
Why not? Across the world.
Yeah, so we did. We actually did, and it was awesome. And but what is so awesome, 50 countries. We're in over 50 countries. And so we're an international debt-free company that's really new in the sense that it's a umbrella of many well-known brands. Like Noni has been around for, I don't even know, 36, 37 years. Limu's been around for almost 20 years. I mean, these are vetted products that have been
Right.
around, millions and millions and millions of bottles. These products have been sold. So 400% growth last year, 400% over the 400% this year. We're seeing this company explode. And I'll tell you why. One, it's integrity. John and Darren, who is also one of our owners, he's absolutely incredible. He's got quite a background, but I won't go into it. But he has a lot of business savvy and success of taking companies, really scaling them huge, and he's doing it. Let me tell you,
Yes.
in spades. And but you have to have a unique product that people really need. And
Right.
then you have to have a compensation plan that gets people paid quickly and gets them paid fairly and keeps them getting paid quickly and fairly. And then finally, you have to have a community that's life-giving, a community of people that run together, a community of people that are all going for the same thing. We all want something better for our health, and we all want something better for our family. So that's where we're at today. Really honored this year. I was nominated to be on the Partners Council with
Yeah.
PartnerCo, which is just a handful of people in North America. And first year of that honor, it was just, and it's such an honor to be able to represent the teams and to be a part. But that's the other thing, they listen to the field. And so what we say, they listen to. It's remarkable. But that's the
Right.
company that we have in PartnerCo. They are a partnership, them and us together, and our customers and our brand partners. We all are better together. And that's a
Together. Yes, I
take.
love that. One of the things I wanted to say is that that impressed me is that when you talked about that you were in women's ministry for over 20 years, that a lot of times women would come to you and they were either needed prayer for their health or somebody's health that they cared about or for finances. Can you speak to that for a minute? Like how you were able to, now you can give them help in both areas.
That's exactly right. That's it right there. And when I was in women's ministry, truly, that was the request. Either they were sick, someone they loved was sick, somebody had cancer, somebody had a disease, a child, whatever, an aging parent, or they were financially broke. They didn't have the money to do what they needed. They were struggling with finances. And I would pray for them. Of course, I'd pray for them. But I always left, Amy, feeling like I wish I had something else. I wish I had another tool to give them. And I'll tell you today, that's exactly what I have. I have a tool that can help people get healthy. And I have a tool that also, I also have a tool that has the ability to help people make income. And so you put those two things together and then you create a life-giving community around it, you've got gold.
Yes, and that's what I love. I mean, it's just amazing how everybody cares for each other and gives into whatever help any support anybody needs. So I just love that part. So I was wondering if we could jump into a little bit about Limu. How long have you been with selling Limu?
Well, Limu was my signature product 12 years ago, and Limu Original 5X, that is seaweed in your bottle that tastes great. I know people think seaweed. No, it's actually fabulous. It has
It
apple
tastes
mango.
great.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about seaweed is, and ours comes from Tonga, the cleanest waters in the world, and that's really important that you understand where products are harvested from and how they are harvested. So we need to know those waters are clean. Why? Because seaweed, as it swims in the water, it takes all the nutrients out of the water and puts it into the stem of the seaweed. And in that stem is something called fucoidan, and fucoidan is a super nutrient. And so the stuff you buy at Costco with all the, the green dried seaweed that everybody thinks is so healthy, I'm here to
Right.
tell you it probably isn't because you don't know where it came from. And that has no fucoidan in it. Fucoidan actually comes in the vein, just like our blood
Okay.
lifeline is in the vein. That is true with fucoidan. And so what does it do? It's an absolutely incredible product to reduce inflammation cellularly in the body. One of the best places it targets is the gut. And so a lot of women I know as we age, our diet really starts to get screwed up. We either have tons of bloating, cramping, diarrhea, constipation. We don't feel good. Our stomachs hurt. We know something's not right, but we don't know how to help it. So we'll take all kinds of other things to try to aid in digestion, and some of those things certainly are helpful. And we have some probiotics that actually work because they go through the stomach lining, and it's really quite amazing. They don't digest in the acids of your stomach. But what Limu does, it actually goes in and heals. It heals the gut. So when you think about your digestion process, as food is going through your system, your system can become inflamed. And so it's really amazing that Limu has, it's almost a sticky substance in the fucoidan, and it goes in and closes up all those inflamed places so that now all of a sudden you're feeling great,
Right.
when you're eating. And the other thing it's so amazing with is joint pain, hip, joint. Years, before I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis and osteopenia, it was one of the only things that I could find that would help me with my joint pain was Limu.
Wow.
And it's also antiviral, antibacterial. So it's a great thing. We sold a ton of it during, every sickness epidemic, we sell a lot of Limu and a lot of Noni because they help build the immune system. So it's really a beautiful story. Just one thing about Limu, my sister had Crohn's and severe Crohn's, and she was on 9 pills a day, and they were large, like horse-sized pills.
Yeah.
And I
Can't
paid for
imagine.
2 months of Limu for her because she's like, skeptic. Oh, nothing's gonna help. I'm not going off my medication. I'm like, don't go off anything. I'm not a doctor. My son's a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. And so she started using Limu. And it's really interesting. In about 2 weeks, she calls me and she said, "You're never gonna believe it." And I'm thinking, oh, yes, I am. But she started being able to taper herself all the way off that medication, starting to heal her gut. It doesn't just mask the symptom, it actually
Right.
heals, which is
That's
really
the
amazing.
difference, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about how Limu and Noni are both in the physician's desk guide and what that is?
Well, Limu is not in the PDR, but Noni is,
Okay.
and National Library of Health is probably what you may be referencing. And we do. We have, I don't even know, 4 to 5,000 studies now. I can't even keep up with it on Limu. And that's our Limu. It's Tahitian. It's our Limu from Tahiti, which is different. So again, I go back. You always have to know where your products are harvested from. But you're right about Noni. It is in the physician desk reference, and it's really amazing to get a product and in fact, we have several products in our company that are in the PDR.
Wow.
And it's really an impressive thing because you have to have so many third party studies. You have to show efficacy of a product. You have to show longevity of a product. There's so many different things that have to happen to get that product in there. But even with the National Library of Health, anybody can go in and type in, that's not our site. That's a government scientific site. You can go in there and type in Fucoidan. You can type Noni. You can read all the studies. It's wild. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
That's incredible. Can you tell us just a little bit about Noni?
Yes. Well, Noni is new to me within the last couple, 3 or 4 years. We acquired Noni. And so Noni is absolutely another incredible product. It's a fruit. So Limu is a sea-based vegetable, and
Right?
Noni is a land-based fruit. Okay. And from Tahiti. And so it's the research on Noni is really remarkable. And I want to just say we have to be careful about what we say about a product because we don't treat, cure, mitigate diseases. So I want to really have that disclaimer. With that said, what I encourage people to do is to do their own research. What are you looking for help with? Let's say it's joint pain, gut issues, maybe it's some kind of a cancer, whatever it is, or one kind of disease. You go to the you go to the physician dose reference. You go and look up the natural products, or you go to the National Library of Health and you type in Fucoidan, or you type in Noni, Noni and liver, Noni and kidney, Noni and heart. In fact, I won't go into all of it because it's a whole training unto itself. But one of the things that's so incredible about Noni is the research on Noni and visceral organs, including and most predominantly the lungs.
Wow.
And the study that Brent West, who is a scientist, he is a PhD, I think multiple times over, but his training on Noni is the best I've ever heard. But he talked about several of the studies, and one of the studies they did was on people that had smoked for 10 years, a minimum of 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So that's a hard smoker. And so what the research found was not only was it healing the lungs were actually getting pink again. So they were finding that it was actually reversing the damage to the lung. Well, that's really great news for somebody that smoked for 10 years, 20 years ago and regrets it now because now they have a way to be able to support the heart, the lung, all the visceral organs. And so Noni again does all those beautiful things. It also helps with fat and
Okay.
digestion of fat. So a lot of people are on the drops, they are also on Noni.
Okay, wonderful. And I wanted to ask about your husband because he started on a product before the drops, right? And that
Yes.
helped him lose a significant amount of weight. And if you don't mind saying his age.
Yes, absolutely. So Jerry started on Burn. And so Burn is a one of the original Limu products. So it has Limu Original in it, 7 grams of soluble fiber, which is we don't get enough fiber. We need fiber. And so the fiber, and it's got Limu, and then it's got 20 grams of vegan protein in there. Wow.
Wow.
That means for a big guy, if you do 2 of those, in a day, because that's what he was doing, was drinking 2 Limu, 2 Burns a day. He automatically has 40 grams of protein. Well, most men should have at least 100 to 130 grams of protein, especially how big Jerry's 6'4", he's a big man.
Right.
Well, he was very unhealthy during this time when I married him. He was a widower for 4 years and he was not taking care of himself. But I told him, I said, you marry me. I'm 17 years younger than you are. So you better take care of yourself so you can take care of me.
There you go. There's a
So,
deal.
so he agreed to it. And anyway, we went under to make him healthy, bring down his cholesterol, stabilize his sugars. Um, we had a lot of work to do. But listen to this, he's 81 years old today. He lost over 80 pounds on our products, and he has never gained a pound back. That's
Wow.
incredible. So when you think about, and it's sustainable, it's not the yo-yo kind of thing. Plus, he's satisfied. He has finally found products as tools. That's what products are. They're tools to help us be healthy and stay healthy. And he's on no medication at 81
Wow.
years old. That's absolutely incredible. So his cholesterol is great. His blood pressure is phenomenal. They tell him he has blood work like a 40-year-old man and a healthy 40-year-old man. And so these are the things we want, right? We want long lifespan, but we also want long health span. We don't have a
Quality.
long lifespan, and by the time we turn 60, our health starts to tank. We want quality of life and quality of health to go hand in hand to the very end of our life. So that product is a staple in our home, to say the very least.
That's wonderful. Well, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about our main product, which are the drops. And I know that those didn't come in for your company until quite a while ago. Can you tell
Uh,
me a little?
yeah, about 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago. Okay. Can you tell me about your experiences with the drops and what you've seen across the world?
One word, remarkable. The drops do so many different things. We could talk for 2 hours on what the drops do, why they work, how they work. But the biggest thing about the hormone balancing drops is it was a study that was done. They were created by endocrinologists, medical doctors, backed by science, and worked with formulators in homeopathy. And of course, Amy, you're an expert in homeopathy, and you understand marrying these two together is about the most beautiful thing you can get, right? You got all the
Yes.
science of the medical world, and you have all the homeopathy understanding of the natural health world. And they created these products, these two drops. They do two different things. The first one, I call it your self-control. It's just remarkable. And that's homeopathy. And what it does in the body is truly remarkable. I can just say for myself and my story, I wanted to get on the drops because I couldn't lose stubborn fat around my middle. And, skinny people drop over dead every day. I'm
Sadly.
telling you, it's not even just the weight. It is visceral weight around your organs, liver, kidney, heart. And so what the drops do, primarily what they do, is they bring down something called cortisol in the body. What is cortisol? Well, most of us have so much cortisol. It's the stress hormone. You've got to go do something. Your kids have been crazy and you've got to go solve all your cortisol goes through the roof, which is great because you need that extra push, right? The problem is that cortisol stays in your system too long. And for most of us, we wake up in the middle of the night. That's cortisol. That's stress waking you up. It's why you can't sleep in the middle of the night. It's cortisol. And so bringing cortisol down naturally, that's your first dropper. It's going to do so many things to help do that. The second primary goal of the drops is stabilizes the sugars. It helps you, one, not crave sugar. I didn't believe it till I took the drops. I
Yes.
could not believe it. Like, I could not believe I literally lost all desire for sugar, sweets, treats, all of that kind of stuff. Even dairy. Like, I would have one piece of cheese. I loved it. That was it. I didn't need more. It was like I didn't
Right.
have a craving for any of it. The drops did that too. That's why we see people that are diabetic and pre-diabetic, it's diabetes too. They're getting off of insulin, they're getting off of medication because why? Their sugar levels have normalized. The drops do that. And then finally, the one thing we have seen consistency is the digestion in the drops. The drops will kick in digestion. They will start your digestion moving, and it's amazing. I get women coming back to me saying, I cannot believe it. This is the first time in years my digestion feels good. I don't hurt after I eat. I feel right. I feel good. And that is another role of the drops. And in this third party study that was done 12, 13 years ago now, what they found with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people was that they were all on a low glycemic food list, which is fruits, vegetables, lean meat, seeds, nuts, just the good stuff, right? Real food, not real food.
Packaged. No package. I have to throw
And
away my packages.
no packages, shop from the perimeters of your grocery store. That's what I tell people. Lots of vegetables, lots of fruit, lots of good, healthy, lean meat. And if you can find a local farmer, boy, that's the way to go. But Anyway, what they found in this research was that people that were on the drops and those that were on a placebo of the drops, the people that were actually on the drops lost weight twice as fast. And so now we know that's why we call it weight loss, body balancing drops with a side effect of weight loss, because they didn't come out, they didn't start the drops to help people lose weight. But what they found was that cortisol is connected to gut fat and toxins, right, in the body are held in fat cells. So as we start to get the toxins out of our body, that's what the drops do. They detox your body. Pretty soon your body says, oh, I can let go of some of that fat because there's no toxin in your fat anymore. And you're going to start to see it around your stomach. You're going to start seeing it in areas that you may have dieted yourself sick. You couldn't lose the weight and now you can. And it's really remarkable. So they're beautiful. The second dropper is our herbal remedy. And I love that one because it has methylated vitamin B12 in it. And what does methylated mean? It just means your body knows what to do with it. It means it says, oh, this is food. This isn't a foreign substance. This is something I
Right.
know what to do with. It doesn't have to figure out what something is. In fact, everything we use is a food grade item. So our bodies already know. They're like, I know what to do with this. This is food, and this is an herb. This is a whatever it is. It also has ashwagandha and rhodiola in it, and it's an adaptogen herb. And so, what does that mean? It just means that it adapts to you, like whatever you need, if you're going to get that. And many, many people find it's very, when they feel stressed, it's calming. It doesn't make you tired. It's not that kind of calming, but it reduces anxiety, just daily, normal, high-end anxiety that we have. That second dropper, I'll tell you what, that is gold to me. I won't even tell you, we're supposed to take it 2 times a day. That's what the instructions say. I'll tell you, Amy, off the record, I'm a 3 to 4 day girl. I'm a 3 or 4 day girl because of how it makes me feel.
Right.
I just feel so good. And that's all you have to do is go off those drops and you're going to know what they've done for you. Just
Right,
go on a trip
exactly.
and run out. Oh my gosh, don't run out.
And can you touch on that really quickly? If somebody does have a lot of weight to lose, can they do more than 2 times a day on that second drop or on the accelerate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, they can do 4 times a day. In fact, I encourage men who are bigger, taller, bigger men, they really should be using the drops 4 times a day. That's even true with women because they're at a place where they just need more support. And then they can back off to three droppers, drops a day. But for people that I start out with, and the other thing too is to also evaluate what is your goal. And that's one of the things, Amy, that we love to talk about is what is your health goal? And so if your health goal is to lose 20 pounds, well, you're not going to do that in a month in a healthy way anyway. And so we have
Or
a
two?
way that you can get, or two, and we have a way, where you can get a wholesale pricing on a 4 set of drops that's almost the equivalent of, well, it is the equivalent of getting a whole box for free. And it's a $29 one-time wholesale pricing. Makes total sense, in my opinion, to do that because what you're going to find is we have 105 products. And so you just start with the drops, but then you get into our group Circle of Health that has almost 60,000 people in it that have been on the drops and some of our products. And people are like, wow, I didn't know you had this. I didn't know that burn was available. I didn't know that you had a probiotic. I didn't know that now we have Advantage, which burns calories 10 times faster. It's a little pill. You take it with your food 2 times a day, and people are having wild results with that product. And so, there's so much there for you. I think the biggest thing, Amy, is that someone has to make a decision. They have to make a decision. They have to decide, is my health worth it? Is my health worth the investment that it's going to take to stay healthy? Well, I hope the answer is yes, because if you don't have your health, you literally have nothing. And if
Right.
I've talked to a lot of people, I've worked with thousands, tens of thousands of people, and I can tell you, if they could go back and change what they did, they would. And
Yeah.
so this is just an opportunity for you to get healthy, get some information, link up with a person that sent the Zoom to you and say, "Hey, I'm ready to get started." Maybe you feel like you're healthy and you've got your goals met, but maybe you're looking for a residual income. Maybe you're looking for a way to be able to work from home. Maybe you don't want to leave your kids for 10 hours a day and you want to have a business, you know, you need to bring in income to your family, but maybe you want to try to do something when you're at home. And we have a turnkey system. It is proven to create income immediately for people. And if you're teachable, you're coachable, you can do a lot in the business here with Partner Co. But you make a decision for your health, figure out why, what is your why? And then once you know what your why is, double down, link arms with someone that has told you about any of our products, especially our drops, and then make a decision, then link arms with us and let us help you in that journey. It's very worth it.
Yes, I love that. I love the part that you always talk about being teachable because we always have so many people that say, I can't do technology, but you always say, if you're teachable, we can teach you and you will learn.
Lifelong learners.
I love it. Can you talk about this one last product and then we'll close up? So this one's Renew, and you have an
Yes,
incredible story with that.
I do actually. And I'll make that quick. But Renew is one of our newer formulations, and what it does is it's natural HGH, human growth hormone. And you can Google human growth hormone and find out about what it does. It's incredible what it does. They call it the youth hormone. It's incredible what it does to your skin, nails, and hair. Tightens skin. It's cellular regeneration. It supports your cells. It boosts libido, helps people with get their libido back. And you know
Yeah.
that we got a lot of. I always tell people if your husband's on Renew, you better get on Renew, or if you're on Renew, you better get your husband on Renew because you need to be on the same page, which is really, really true. But everything that happens when we're young, look at a young 12-year-old kid, they're running around, their energy is off the wall. Their HG is high. But by the time you hit 50, you have, I don't even know if it's half. I think it's only 40% of normal HGH, and then it starts to go down very, very quickly. And so how can you get natural HGH? Well, there's all kinds of crap out there, shots and different things that are from pigs and animals, and you don't want any of that. That has side effects to it. Stay far, far away from that. But what ours does, it actually stimulates the pituitary to create your own natural HGH. And that production is usually between 2 and 5 in the middle of the night. So we encourage people to take Renew before they go to sleep. I took it for sleep because I couldn't believe how well I slept. I was dreaming. I mean, I was like, wow, this stuff is amazing. And I woke up just lots of energy. I have really busy days. And so I needed that energy in the morning. But here's the crazy thing about this. I went in, I have osteoarthritis. I had osteoarthritis for 15 years. And I was on a shot every 6 months. It was $4,800 just to keep my
Wow. For the shot?
from not losing bone. And I couldn't gain it. It's like I stopped losing it. So the shot actually helped not lose it. But the problem was I needed to gain it. I needed, because your muscle and your bone are very connected to one another. And as you age, you will lose that very, very quickly. That's why we see, you know, people immediately, they start losing bone, they start losing strength. We don't want that. We want to be strong and we want to have strong bones and we want to be able to walk and have exercise and enjoy our children and our children. We want to be able to be healthy. And so, long story short, I went in to see my bone doctor and to get my scan, which I get, and not even thinking about Renew. And he came back in, he showed me my chart, you know, over 15 years, it was like this. I gained a little, but it was basically pretty consistent. And then from my last bone test, it was like straight up. And he came in and he said, "What on earth are you doing?" I couldn't think of it. I was thinking, what have I done that's different? You know, I have a regiment and then it dawned on me. I said, oh, I wonder if it's this product called Renew I'm taking. Now he knows I'm a huge advocate of natural health products. And he said, what is it? So I told him what it was and actually pulled it up and showed it to him. And he said, oh, Tammy. He said, it's the HGH. He said, human growth, the HGH inside your body creates healthy bone. It creates healthy muscle. It's one of the side effects. I was like, that's a good. So, really excited. I'm no longer osteoarthritis. I'm no
Wow.
longer osteopenia. I've got the sexiest bones around. I keep saying, Jerry, look at these
Very sexy
bones. Look
bones.
at these bones because I've got sexy bones. And it's funny, but it's not, right? Because like as you age, the things that you really treasure are these kind of things
How many
because they
ladies or
give it.
even men are so worried about falling, so worried about their bones? That is huge, massive.
And it is a huge thing. It's a very, very real thing. So keep your bones strong. Get them strong now. You don't have to wait to get sick to get better.
Right.
Keep your body strong. Keep your
Prevention.
immune system. Yes, prevention is absolutely key. So Renew is definitely one of my favorite products.
Okay. Well, Tammy, I am so grateful for your time. You are just a treasure. I thank you for being a servant leader. Anytime I'm in your home, you are caring for people, you're doing dishes, you're feeding, and make
Yes.
people feel loved. And I so appreciate that. I was wondering if you had any closing words for those who are wanting to make a little bit more income and they're looking at this business. What would you say to that person who even $100 extra a week could make a difference for their family?
Well, research will say the average American family doesn't have $500 in savings. So that tells you extra $100 a week. Yes, that does make a difference. But can you imagine if you could make an extra $500 a week? And that's what we're seeing. And the reason it works, one, is we have a very unique product and it works. And the efficacy of the product is strong, the research is strong, and people are having wildly wonderful results with it. So we've got a gateway product, but two, we have a system in place, a system of growth. We call it an SOG, and it basically is where you work from your phone. We have an app you download, and all the resources are in there. And you basically use social media. We use it for everything anyway. We're on social media all the time, but you can use your Instagram or your Facebook to share the opportunity of what the drops have done for people. And when I tell people get ready because I take a picture of them holding the drops and they think it's going to happen, but it happens. I'm like, you're going to get so many questions about these. And so we prepare people. They have a board app, which is just basically a way to answer questions. So all your questions are answered. You don't have to come up with any answer to any question. We have doctors that have created a lot of this for us. So all you have to do is be teachable. Be teachable, be willing. And then if you are willing, then you get back with the person that started you, and we will train you on how to do this. It's not hard. That's the craziest thing about this, because people are coming to you.
Yes.
And, and of course, I go to people all the time because I'm always just a natural part of my life. These products are a natural part of my life. But I just want to encourage you, there's a better way. Here's the bottom line. We have hope, trust, and a plan to get you there. And I'm living proof of it. I'm absolutely living proof. I have made over millions of dollars in this company. And I say that with all humility, but I had to start exactly like you did. I had to sell one bottle of Limu. I had to be willing to try something I've never done before with a system that will support you and a group of people that will support you. To me, it's just absolutely the most beautiful business model I've ever worked in my life. It's incredible. So get back with a person, make a decision, get back with them, and then get started. I have a tagline, Amy, in my ministry for years, and when I started teaching cooking classes and all of that was start simply, but simply start. Right?
Yes.
You don't have to buy
I,
it. You can't eat an elephant at one time. Just start. just start and be teachable and say, I want to try this. Let's link arms together, and then I think you're going to be really amazed at what happens.
Absolutely. And when she says that she's serious about training, I've spent how many hours on Zooms and in your home with you pouring in and training people. And it's just incredible. So thank you. So grateful to you. And I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye-bye.